So the Donald Trump government shutdown is still going on. And one of the big sticking points is actually healthcare. So I want to go over this with you guys and also to what's going on with the economy, as we got some new data to go over that also. First, this is from the Wall Street Journal. They say, who gets healthcare subsidies under the Affordable Care Act? And if you look at the map, it's actually pretty clear. A lot of Republicans, right? A lot of people in red states get these things. And I remember when the Affordable Health Care Act is also known as Obamacare. I remember when Obama was rolling this stuff out, and if you turn over to Fox News, because they hate affordable health care and they hate Obama, and you put the two together, Obamacare, and oh my God, it was like meltdown every day over at Fox News, right? If you guys remember Sarah Palin be on TV all the time talking about death panel this, death panel that, and we're all going to lose our freedoms for having health care. And it's like, what are these people talking about? This is insane. And now that sort of it's been the law of the land for a while, more people are signing up and figuring out that, hey, it's not that bad. Affordable healthcare is not a bad thing at all. In fact, I like it. And I think what happens is that once you sign up, you're just like, hey, you know what? I'm going to stick with it because it works. Now, what's interesting about this, again, many red states are signing up for this thing. This is increasing. This is the date for, from 2020 to 2025, so recently. And this is also a chart showing you, numbers keep going up. One of the things that was interesting about this, though, is that if you do sign up for this stuff, there is a subsidy, so there is money involved with this stuff. So make no mistake, we are talking about real money. But I do want to point this stuff out that even though, yes, what was it say? Estimated cost of extending enhanced Affordable Health Care Act subsidies. So, we need $40-50 billion for something like this. And I just want to mention those numbers because we're talking about a time when Trump's like, hey, I'm just going to give $10 billion to farmers because I need their votes, right? And I'm crushing their industry. Or, hey, let's bail out Argentina for $20 billion because what's $20 billion among friends? And in fact, there's a billionaire, I guess, connected to this Argentina thing that's really going to benefit from that. And the craziest crap is Trump, literally just yesterday, we were talking about it before on the channel, he upped the amount of money, I guess, that we're bringing in from 17 trillion. Now we're getting like 20 trillion according to Trump. So if we have all this money like just coming on in and we're all rich, why can't we share it for healthcare? We're only talking about $50 billion. And yet we always have money to bomb, boats around Venezuela, bomb Iran, whatever. But for some reason, we don't have money for healthcare. I mean, for me, I'm making jokes, but it's always frustrating because I think this should be a priority for anyone to fund these things. But the Republicans are more interested in tax cuts for billionaires. Listen to this heated exchange in Congress going on right now.
Did you get permission from your boss?
Why don't we sign on right now?
Did your boss, Donald Trump?
You can easily extend
the ACA
Did your boss,
Donald Trump,
He's
give
not
you
my
permission?
boss.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. And by the way,
so let me ask you a
why
question.
did you vote to
Let me
shut
ask
the
you a
government
question.
down?
You
Why
know
did you vote to shut
Let me
down?
ask you a question.
For years, you always lectured about how we need to keep the government open.
You're making a show of this to make
it's
yourself
sad.
relevant.
It's sad. You could easily sign on to
You're
this.
embarrassing
You
yourself
could
right
sign
now.
on to this. The only
You're
embarrassment
chasing
here is
clout.
you.
You're an
You
embarrassment.
could sign on to the bill.
Let me ask you a question.
You have 4 Democrats on here.
Let me
Why
ask you a
won't you
question.
sign on
Let me ask
to
you a
it?
question.
It's a
Let
clean
me ask you
extension
a
for 1
question.
year.
You voted for the one big
Clean
ugly bill,
extension.
correct?
I voted for a
The
tax cut
largest-
bill that gave the
the
largest
largest
tax
cut-
cut
the
to
largest-
Americans in history,
the
including, by
largest-
the way, the average New Yorker getting a $4,000 tax cut. Are you against that?
You're embarrassing
Do you
yourself
want to
right now.
cut the standard deduction in
The
half? Is that
largest
what you
cut
wanted
to
to do?
Medicaid in
No, we
American
rooted
history.
out
You voted
waste,
for that.
fraud, and abuse, by the
You
way.
voted
Tom DiNapoli, the
for a
Democratic
permanent-
controller of New York,
Let me ask you a question.
pointed out that $1.2 billion
If you're
were
gonna-
wasted.
Listen, you're not going to
wasted,
talk. You're not going to talk to me.
wasted
You're not
on
going to talk to me
fraud
and talk
and
over
non-New
me
York residents
because you don't
getting
want to
paid.
hear what I have to say.
Oh, I'm
So
listening.
why
Go
don't you
ahead.
just keep your mouth shut?
Oh,
because you
is
showed
that-
up.
is that the way to
you
talk?
showed up. You showed up.
Yeah.
And so you voted for this one
I
big
signed
ugly
on
bill.
for this. You can extend it
A
right now.
permanent extension of massive tax breaks for your billionaire donors.
So 90% of
So
Americans.
they can get a permanent extension.
90% of Americans
but
take the
working-class
standard
Americans
deduction.
can't? Is that right?
90% of Americans take the standard deduction.
Is that right?
If you had your way, the standard deduction would have been cut in half. That
No
would have been a
one-
massive tax increase
no one-
on Americans all across the country.
You're
You support
here,
that?
unfortunately.
You're against
to
lifting
do
the cap on
bidding
salt?
Of your billionaire donors.
You're
So that was Mike Lauer and Hakeem Jeffries. You can see, if you want to watch the full 4 minutes, you can. But you can see these are the kind of conversations that are going on. And I saw a bunch of these on social media trending. And there's a real split right now. My personal opinion on this stuff is I think the Republicans are probably going to try to get some sort of Band-Aid fix before midterms because they don't, want their constituents to realize what's really going on. Again, Republicans don't care about regular people. And the Democrats are just like, you know what, we're just going to hold our ground because our constituents are like mad at us because we're not fighting back against Trump enough. And so this is where we're at. Will they come with a compromise? I don't know. I think hopefully eventually something will come, but at the moment it just doesn't seem like it. And we're in an environment where the divide keeps getting worse, but this is where we are. And Donald Trump is about dividing people. And you want to make this clear that the average person actually would prefer to have this thing stay in place. This is a recent polling data I'll show you guys. It says, how respondents answer to this question. Okay, what's the question? Do you think Congress should extend these enhanced tax credits, or should they let these enhanced tax credits expire? Again, talking about the healthcare thing. And total, it's like over 75% of the people are like, let's extend the tax credits, right? Democrats is like, hey, was it 80, 90? You can see numbers. Independents is up there. Even Republicans, over 50%, I guess. Republicans, I never get them. I mean, they're all for tax cuts for billionaires. And then there's not that many billionaires in the world. There's just not that many. There's not that many Elon Musk who, I guess, the rich keep getting richer. He's at 500 billion now. I mean, much more money do you need? But, you convince your Republican followers that, I don't know, that I guess we should worship billionaires. I guess that's what it ends up being. The thing's crazy to me. And oftentimes these people vote against their own self-interest. So let me give you an example. This is from Wall Street Journal. They were talking about, who signs up for the Affordable Health Care Act. It says here, roughly half of Obamacare enrollees work for small business, including self-employed. According to KFF, among the jobs with the biggest share of ACA holders are chiropractors, musicians, and a category that includes farmers, ranchers, and other agricultural managers, right? Which Trump, say wants to just give them cash because, it'll look cool on the news. I can give people $10 billion or whatever. And Trump wants to be able to pick winners and losers and, say, hey, you're a winner. You went with Team Trump. That's kind of the Trump game that he wants to play, opposed to making policies that just make everyone a winner, right? Why not? I mean, you could do it. Opposed to just picking winners and losers. Why not create a system where everyone has a chance to win? And that's sort of the things I talk about all the time on this channel, where you fund education, you fund healthcare, fund public transportation, fund renewable energy, all these kind of things that really benefits all of us. But, that's what Trump is up to. He's all about benefiting himself. It's really, really frustrating. Also, we actually got some interesting numbers regarding jobs. So while they're fighting about healthcare, and healthcare costs could go through the roof. Someone in the community was actually saying that their healthcare costs may triple into next year. And I've seen various things on this. And make no mistake, for those of you who are not in the USA, healthcare in the USA can be really, really expensive. It can be hundreds of dollars a month up to thousands of dollars a month for reals. And it's crazy. And then on top of that, we're worried about the job market. And I think things are a lot worse than what we know. The government's not putting out numbers, so it's so bad. Like, that we got a government shutdown, and I would make the case that they may not release numbers for the rest of Trump's presidency. I mean, or if they do, like he's just going to tell us how rich we are. But I think it's more likely they're just not going to release anything. I think that's just my opinion because it's just sort of the way it's trending. However, the reason why I say it's way worse than I think anyone, realizes, this is Bank of America, Carlyle Group, Goldman Sachs, ADP. They're all saying kind of roughly the same thing. And let me read a little bit, you'll understand. It says, in the federal data void, right? So there's no government data. Bank of America this week said it's seeing signs of rising unemployment and slowing job growth in its customers' data. That's a bank, so they know. And they have the, the tracking of accounts where they know, like, are people collecting unemployment? Are they collecting a wage? Like how much people are spending? They also have credit card data. They know default rates, this kind of stuff. So they got a real good sense of this thing. Then you also got private equity who tracks this stuff. Carlyle Group, what do they say? Extrapolating from companies in which its own stakes, so I guess ones that they're involved with, said Tuesday that it thinks overall U.S. job growth slid in September from an already weak official reading in August. Goldman Sachs says its measure of labor market tightness fell last month back to levels seen in 2015, indicating a tough landscape for job seekers. And then you had ADP that said U.S. employers shed private sector jobs last month. So it's not good. I think you guys already know this stuff. It's not good, but again, we're not getting official government numbers. And then you get these kind of like early indicators of problems in the market. This is like an auto parts dealer, I think. And there was another one. I keep forgetting the name. I always forget, but just trust me, I'm not making stuff up. It was there was like an auto loan company that went bust, and they had like 100,000 loans that are questionable. And what I think is going on here with the Trump deportations and such, I think there's like sort of a shadow economy in the USA that's connected to this stuff. And when people aren't working, people are afraid, to go to work or whatever, or people are being deported, or people can't pay their bills at all, it's going to have a ripple effect. And so that first company, I guess it was the auto lending one, and then this is another one connected to it, First Brands, and then they're connected to Jefferies and UBS. And then they were talking about we're in it for like billions of dollars. Jefferies was like 715 billion, UBS was something like 500 billion. And I'm mentioning these things because all of this stuff put together, the jobs, now we want to make cuts to healthcare to make it tougher for Americans. And Trump's talking about laying off people. I mean, the situation I think is really ugly, to be frank. I think you guys know this stuff. I just want to lay it out to you what's going on. And then the people that should be helping regular people and protecting America, they're kind of spinning their wheels on things so that essentially the left hand is busy while Trump's right hand, I guess you want to call it, is off doing his grifts and various crypto scams or whatever. So for example, I didn't know it was this big, but evidently it is. Hegseth's sprawling hunt for Charlie Kirk's critics spans nearly 300 investigations. And essentially they're going after civilians, contractors, people in the military. If you say something they don't like online against Charlie Kirk or anything, they can define what they don't like. You have a chance of losing your job. And so I've been hearing stories about this stuff, and it's actually this extensive. And so basically you're pulling resources off things that people should be doing and putting them on like this kind of nonsense, in my opinion, or these kind of things. It's way worse than I thought with the FBI. They're pushing out a lot of experienced people, and essentially we're pulling people from things of vital security, and then they're putting them on Trump's immigration ICE stuff. So it says a quarter of FBI agents are assigned to immigration enforcement, and it depends which office. So some offices are as high as like 40% of the officers are on immigration stuff. So I'll read a little bit. You guys can see what it says. Nearly a quarter of FBI agents across the country are currently assigned to immigration enforcement, with the number climbing to upward of 40% in the nation's largest field offices, according to data from the FBI obtained by Senator Warner. And what other things could FBI agents be doing? And I think the big ones are they could be enforcing more money laundering stuff. They could be protecting us, say, from Russian or Chinese activities regarding the upcoming election, because you never know with this stuff and where the money is flowing into, say, Elon Musk's platform to promote whatever fake news. That's a real thing. It is a real thing. If you spend any time on Musk's platform, you'll figure out really quickly there's a lot of bots over there and misinformation. It's like really a lot, and you just don't know truth these days. It's much harder. That's why I talk about the guys all the time on the channel. And I think the money laundering thing is actually a really big one. And so basically, we're occupying FBI people and firing qualified people so that Trump and his buddies can get away with all kinds of stuff. You'll see it reported in the news, and that's sort of what we talk about on the channel. But this in this day and age, how social media works, everyone just want to watch the gossip stuff and ignore the money stuff. And as I always tell you guys, follow the money, because at the end of the day, even if social media is pushing you whatever gossip story of the day, where Pam Bondi said something stupid, I'm sure she farted. I'm pretty sure she did. She farts every day. Same way with Patel farts every day. But the average American, right? They care about their job. They care about putting food on the table, and they care about just living their lives as everyone wants to do. And honestly, like, it's crazy. As I tell you guys, I just want to talk about like markets, business news, these kind of stuff. I usually don't talk about Trumpy stuff that much, but like you have to these days, because that's like all there is right now, because he's affecting everything in a bad way. And what you want is government that's frankly boring. You don't want to talk about government at all. It's like you just want it boring. Hey, everything works fine. Everything's clean. And I just do my job, go home and, watch my favorite TV show and don't have to worry about any of that stuff. But even Trump's like going after your favorite TV shows. I mean, it's this world is crazy. And I'll just tell you this, and You know, I know things are dire because I really know I read this stuff all the time. I'm really thankful to have you all in the community, and it's good to know that we're not alone. That's the best way to put it, because we get gaslit so much every day. So please stay sane out there. We'll try to keep each other sane, and I'll catch you all in the next video.